I also thought that when the poinsettia leaves fell, then the plant was dead. That was me. Happy Saturday! So today I want to talk to you about the plant that broke my heart. And I want to encourage you that if you are a new plant parent or you had plants for a while and your plants are breaking your heart, I want to encourage you to get past that and to pursue your desire to be a plant parent anyway. So let's get into it. My first plant heartbreak. So last week I did a video about how plants saved my life, and I went through about 3 major times in my life, one being a current time when plants were my therapy, when and I mentioned in the video that I stopped looking at plants as decoration and plants started to become therapy for me. Let's go back a little bit. Let's rewind a little bit and let's talk about the time when my plants were decoration. Here because I just brought her here because I wanted you to see how pretty she is becoming, and she is actually still doing well. Now, I'm going to leave her here because who doesn't like to see a good pretty plant in the video, right? Now, when I started with plants, I started using plants as decoration. If I had a cute corner in the house, I would buy a plant, put it in that corner, and was like, oh yeah, like that's where I wanted her to be. I wasn't thinking about lighting. I wasn't thinking about, how much water to give the plant. I had done no research. I bought what was cute and I put it in the house. And if the plant died, I would buy another one. And it never occurred to me that my environment wasn't right for the plant or my personality didn't match the plant. It was just the plant died and I would buy another one. I was one of those people that thought when the flower died on the phalaenopsis that the plant was dead. I also thought that when the poinsettia leaves fell, then the plant was dead. This was me buying plants as decoration me. I don't remember too many plants I had in that collection. I don't think I had any real wish list plants. I just bought plants that I thought were cute. I can tell you, I know for sure that a croton was on that list. Croton, crouton, I don't know what you call them. Dead. They call them dead in my house because it never survived. But my very first plant that I actually fell in love with, and I have a little story that goes along with that too. So one of my lovelies, her YouTube channel is Elusive Plants, reached out to me. And as I was going through her videos, I looked and she had a video of my very first plant. And I was like, oh, what? Really? Like I literally just put up a video about how plants saved my life. And I was thinking about because I was trying to remember what kind of plants that were in my first collection. And this plant came up and I go on her channel and I see the plant and I was like, this is it. So please go and check out her channel. She's a growing channel. If you are liking this kind of content, you would absolutely love our community. Our community is absolutely the best community on the whole wide internet. Okay, I said it 10 toes down and I believe it. My community is beautiful. Like they are so sweet and so transparent. They share with me their stories and those comments, and I appreciate you guys. You don't know how difficult it is sometimes to be transparent online because people get behind that keyboard and they can get real snarky, right? Real spicy. But we don't have that. We do not have that. I so appreciate how you guys come through and you support me. So from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say, if you are loving this kind of content, you would love our community. So join my community by hitting that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you know when I put out new videos. All right, let's get back into it. Still in love with the plant, but I already know we have a trauma bond. So I still have never tried to get this plant again, and for a good reason. So the plant that I fell in love with that broke my heart was a China doll. And for any of you that have seen this plant before, I can describe her. She has like a lacy, small, glossy, pretty leaves, and it's a tree. And so it's delicate, and it just is whimsy, and it felt I when I saw the plant, it just reminded me of like if I was a fairy, that this would be the plant that I would want to, kind of lay up under. I absolutely love that plant. And this is why I brought this plant here, because I am in love with miniature leaves. I love really small leaf plants. Now I love the big leaf ones too, but I gravitate towards the small leaf plants. So this is why I think I fell in love with that plant. I had done no research. I just fell in love with the plant. I would go to this nursery because this was part of what was therapeutic for me. I would go to the nursery, and the nursery was the idea. If I was a plant, I would want to live in this nursery. The nursery had like a shade room. So it was shaded with the shade cover, like this black netting on all sides, right? And the ceiling also had a glass top to it, but it was covered with the shaded material. And so it was humid, it was warm, they would blow in hot air in the winter. This was a plant's heaven. Do you hear me? And I would go here every Saturday and spend hours looking at the plants every week. I loved it, loved it, loved it. And every time I went in there, I saw this plant and I was like, I love this plant. I brought the plant home. I was so excited, and I paid good money for this plant. I want to say this was a while ago, okay? I would say over a decade or so. And I brought the plant home. I finally decided I was going to get it. And it wasn't small. It was a big plant. But for whatever reason, it didn't scare me. I didn't even know enough to be afraid or be cautious. So I brought the plant home, and she was so cute, and I was absolutely in love. And so I bring the plant home, and she's fine. And I water. I don't know how much water I gave. I didn't think nothing about treating. To be fair, I didn't even know plants came with pests. This is how green I was. I just know I loved the plant and I loved looking at it. And so I brought it home. I purchased it and then I brought it home, and that was it. We were together now. We go together. And so I had the plant. Everything was going well for about 2 days. And then I would come home from work, and the first thing I wanted to see was my plant, and I would look down and it was like 100 leaves on the floor. I'm like, what the heck? So the first thing I think of, it needs water. So I water it. I come home the next day, another 100 leaves on the floor. This continued every day. Every day I came in the door, that plant broke my heart each and every time. I was absolutely devastated. About 2 weeks in, every hope and dream of being a plant parent had just flown completely out the window. Now, let me tell you this much. This was not my first plant. I had other plants. But some plants are so forgiving that you can be wrong most of the time and they don't complain. And apparently that's what I'd been purchasing before this plant. This plant was the most finicky plant that I have ever had in my life. And when I finally did do the research, everything about the research said, don't buy this plant. It likes a lot of humidity. It doesn't like change, sort of like a fiddle leaf fig, right? You change its location, it doesn't like that, and it'll just drop all its leaves. And for me, dropping all its leaves meant the plant is dead, right? And so what happened? The plant dropped its leaves, and I freaked out. I absolutely freaked out. So before we get into where I went wrong and how how I could have avoided some heartbreak, let me introduce myself. My name is Yvette Boone. I'm a recovering software engineer and a lifelong creative hobbyist and plant enthusiast. And here on this channel, we create a safe space for Black women to incorporate creative hobbies into their wellness practice. Now, my wellness practice took a hard hit with this plant. And I could have avoided a lot of that if I had done my research first. But as a new plant parent, or even one, I wouldn't have even considered myself a new plant parent because I grew up around plants and I already had plants in my collection. Now, I'd killed several, but we're not going to talk about that part. In my mind, I did enough to keep enough plants alive that it never occurred to me to do research. I didn't even think about it. And so by the time the poor plant had, it was a stick with few leaves on there. Yeah, it was so bad that when it was time to get rid of the plant, I waited to the nighttime to take the plant out. Because at the time I was living in a townhouse. And everybody is like right on top of each other. And I was like, I don't want nobody to see me taking this stick in the dirt out to the trash. So I waited till it was dark and I put it in the bag and I took it out and I was like, ah. But that plant haunted me for forever. So how could I have avoided this? One, do your research, right? Do your research, find out what care needs, what that plant needs for care, right? That's number one. Number two is I did not realize that there are three I would say the factors involved in taking care of a plant is not just did I water the plant. Like your environment, your light, your lighting conditions, the humidity in your home, what the plant needs, and also your personality. Like, are you going to be willing to wipe this plant down every week or provide it with a humid environment or whatever the plant needs? Like there are a couple of things that some plants will not survive and will not thrive if you don't do certain things for them. For instance, that China doll needed a lot of humidity, which is why in that nursery, it was the perfect location for her. When I tell you, every one of her leaves on her was beautiful when I purchased this plant. And by the time I took her outside, she literally probably had, and my whole thought was, I'm not waiting till this plant done dropped down to its last leaf. So I think she might have had 3 leaves on her. But I guarantee you by the time I got her to that trash can, those leaves had already fallen off because they were already probably dead. Okay? It was that bad. I mean, every day I came home, there were 100 leaves on the floor. And I'm laughing now because it was bad. It was really bad. So for anybody, any plant parent that is going through that, where they have a plant that they really, really love and it's just not working out, I want to encourage you to not take it personal. The one thing I love about plants is that they got a line in the sand. And if you don't meet their needs, they're out, right? I love that about plants. But so you got to respect their game. If you can't give it what it needs, then move on and try something else. But sometimes we take that personal. Yeah. A lot of people are using plants as therapy. And sometimes when you're using that plant as therapy and that plant is not doing well, that makes you feel worse. And that's the last thing I want somebody to take away, is to add more shame or to even add shame to their situation where it's already rough for them. And so anybody within listening ear that is watching this and you are suffering or struggling with the plant, let it go. Let it go. There are so many more plants out here that will do much better for you, especially during this time. When you are going through is not the time to try to take care of a finicky plant. It's not going to serve you well to do that. So I encourage you to let that plant go. Find you something that is a lot easier to care for, and maybe come back to it. So this brings me to one thing that I learned through this journey, through me having several plant collections, through me having a plant that I fell in love with that didn't work out, is that your plant collection is going to teach you, number one, which plants you do well with, but it also teaches you what kind of plant parent you are. And also to give yourself grace. Think of this as like 3 different phases. There was the phase when I was really going through something, and if I already had plants in my home, then I'm taking care of them best I could. And it was nice sometimes, because sometimes having something else to be responsible for doesn't feel good. But when it did feel good, it was nice to come and see that my plants were thriving and doing well, right? But then there was the moment where the healing had started taking place, and my plants, me being able to take care of my plants, were a part of that step of me getting better. I was hyper focused on my plants. That reminds me, I had a collection of orchids, and some people say orchids are simple, and they are simple, but it's what they need is simple and clear, but that need is high maintenance for me. And at this specific time in my life, when I was going through, I was there for those orchids. I probably had between a little over 40, maybe 40 orchids. And I had another maybe 25 different African violets. So I had all these plants in this room, and I would go in there every day. Everybody was getting wiped down, bug sprayed, this. They needed water every other day. I was on it, because at that part of my healing journey, I had the energy, I had the enthusiasm to match the energy that those plants needed. And then I got past that part, and I started incorporating regular life back into my normal life. So I started taking on other things, and what happened is that plants weren't my therapy anymore. They became part of my life, just my regular life. And I noticed that my energy changed, and my plant collection had to take another hit, because, my life started evolving. And what I came to realize from all of that, between the different collections, having the plant that broke my heart, and actually coming through on the other side of that healing, is that it really did teach me what kind of plant parent I was. It taught me what plants did well for me, and what plants that actually were good during my healing, before my healing, and after. And long story long, it ended up that I was able to find plants that matched all 3 of those phases, right? And this is why, for me, common plants run rampant in my home, because I need something non-China doll-esque that does not need more from me than I can give on my worst day, right? And so that's, to me, what the collection that I have now. Yes, I love some rare plants. I absolutely love some of the plants that are a little bit, that require more work. Matter of fact, I got a list. I can think of about 2 or 3 plants that were in my original collection that I had during this time that I had this China doll, like right after. And I continued to choose even more plants that taught me not to do this. One is that croton, however way you say it, and syngoniums. I fell in love with syngoniums at that same time. I'm telling you, that whole time frame taught me so much about myself. Not just about me as a plant parent, but I was signing up for all the smoke. And I know I couldn't handle it. Even to this day, syngoniums, I still love them. But I know I can't care for them. I just have to love them from afar. So I just wanted to get on here today and just share with you that little story about my China doll and the trauma bond that we have. And I wanted to share and encourage anyone out there, and I don't mean to point my finger, I just want to encourage anyone out there who is doing their very best to take care of plants and you just don't have that energy to match. Let it go. Don't hold on to that shame. Get you a plant that is going to be able to handle some of your fallback because you won't have the energy to match it. And you will love those plants even more because you know that they stuck it out with you and you can stick it out with them. So if no one else has said it to you today, have a great day. Bye. I've done this before and it's never turned out well. Hey girl, you look good for the people. They ain't ready for you, girl. Show them what you're working with, girl. Show them what you're working with. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, she coming back, y'all. She coming back. She was one sad little sister, honey. You look good. You look good. You look blessed. You do look good, though. Now this little thing right here, she dead. Is you dead or just a little dead? No, you dead. That's okay. That's alright. Oh, look at that. It's okay. My hand want to cramp up. Alright, we're gonna put her back. I don't see no I do have a little bit of new growth on here. Look at them little baby leaves. She's so cute. I see some other new growth. She cute. Look. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Look at those little baby leaves right there. Can you see that? Look at that. Yay, us. She growing back, y'all. Wait, do I see something growing? Ooh, look at that. Look. Look at the little baby leaves on there. Yay, she coming back. She making a comeback. All right.